Hello everyone, this is Amber with Georgia Paper Crafts. Today we are working with the Simon Says Stamp September card kit of the month. And this is called Look for the Rainbows. So I'm going to just do a quick walkthrough of what you get in the kit, and then I'm going to start making the cards. So first of all, we start by getting two metallic envelopes. Actually, I think I'm supposed to have three. Yeah. Oh, here's the third one. Okay, so this is the Simon Says stamp envelope in Island Blue. You got metallic Schoolhouse Red, and then metallic Audrey Blue. We seem to get them in every kit lately. I don't use a lot of envelopes. I usually use white, but I definitely like them. Then we get this box of crayons by Chamel. They are enamel dots in hearts, stars, and circles in somewhat of a rainbow color. There's not really a blue, it's green, but I think that's really cute. There's 45 in there. Then you get this Tim Holtz Kaleidoscope 3D Texture Fades Embossing Folder. I have a couple of these. This looks interesting. This should be fun to work with. And then we get the Vicki Boutin, let's see, what is this? 12 double-sided sheets of Vicki Boutin mixed media 6x8 paper. And you can see there's all different kinds of designs here. No repeats, all just one-sided, or not sided, but double-sided, one of each. Cute rainbow designs. And here's some cut aparts. I definitely might use a couple of these. Okay. And then we have the Look for the Rainbow 6x8 clear stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and this has a lot of floral arrangements, a lot of floral images. Looks like some nice sentiments. Thank you with sympathy, everything will be okay, always here for you, somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams you dare to dream really do come true. That's cute. Hang in there, friend, look for the rainbows. Very nice. All right, then we get, I already have some of this, and this is awesome that they included this. This is Tim Holtz Ideology Metallic 8x8 Craft Cardstock. And there's 7 sheets of this. It comes in different colors, metallic colors. So get a pink, a yellow, blue. That looks like a light pink. This is probably a darker pink. A green, purple, and a silver. Very nice. Easy to work with. This should be nice embossed. So we'll work on that. And then, let's see, we get our usual cardstock, which is Simon Says Stamp 120-pound white cardstock, and then 3 color cardstock in the same colors as the envelopes, which is Schoolhouse Red, Audrey Blue, and Island Blue. And then we also get some of these Nouveau Pure Sheen gemstones, a little pack of this. Crystal gems. This looks like fun. I love gems like this. To add some bling. Oh yeah, very pretty. Some big, some are small. Pretty clear. I don't know. Let's see that there. Kind of takes on, you know, almost like an iridescent look. So, all right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started with the cards. So starting with card 1, I had immediately gone to the cut aparts, kind of what I told you about, and I picked out these 2 butterfly cards. One was in the shape of a banner, and the other was just a, I guess a small little like 2x2 sheet. Actually, I think it was like 3x3. So I just cut those out. I cut the butterflies out of the shapes that they were in, and then I cut down this pattern paper here with the birds on it. I thought that was really cute. And I'm just kind of looking at the layout I want to do. Pulled out a couple of sentiments from the stamp set. First big stamp there up to the left-hand corner says "Thinking of You." And then the bottom one says "You're on my mind and in my heart." So I'm just positioning this on the pattern paper, and I'm going to go ahead and line it up using my Misty, just so I could hopefully get a good stamp, and then if I need to re-stamp it, I'll be able to do that. I'm going to pull out my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, ink that up, and go ahead and stamp those two. And those stamped nice. Go ahead and adhere this to my pre-made card base. Again, all my card bases I pre-made before I start making my cards, and I'll usually use heavyweight cardstock from my stash, and usually in the color of white. Just going to figure out how I want to put these butterflies on here. And initially I thought I kind of wanted to pop up the wings a little bit and maybe just adhere the body down, but I was kind of afraid that they might wind up popping off, or, you know, especially if I put it through the mail or something like that. So eventually you will see me putting some glue on the back of the wings just to help secure it down. I'm going to bring in my shimmer pen here, put a little bit of shimmer. You can't really see it very well. Just going over it. And do a little bit on the birds also. Again, it's very difficult to see in the video. And here is where I begin to put some extra glue on the wings just to help secure the whole butterfly down. And I think this looks cute. However, of course, I can't just leave it the way it is. I need to bring in a little bit of gems. So I pulled out my favorite gem set, which is the Unicorn Rainbow set, Rainbow Rhinestone set. And I do believe this is from Pretty Pink Posh. And I'm just kind of placing them on the butterfly, kind of seeing how I want to place them. You can't really see it, but there's some very, very tiny little rhinestones. And I'm kind of going through and seeing if I want to use some of those, if I want to put bigger ones or what. I've spared you the majority of the time I took to place them, as this video would be for if I did that. So I got them all on there, and then that's it. And here's the still photo of it. Pretty simple. I always like to start with the cut-aparts. So here's the other cut-apart I used. This is the one that was on the bottom of one of the pages, and it says loved beyond words. So I cut that down, and then I cut a piece of the blue cardstock to mat that on. Then I used the Schoolhouse Red and cut out some scallop borders using my Lawn Fawn scallop border die. I'm going to attach all of this together. The good thing about these scallop border dies is that they have a line at the top that kind of guides you as to where to put it across. At first I didn't realize that, and then when I did, I was like, oh, of course, this is genius. That way you get it straight. And sometimes I still don't get it straight. I kind of noticed I was a little bit off on this one. Happens, but it is there to help guide you. I had also cut down this off-white piece of pattern paper from the set. I'm going to go ahead and put that down on my card base. Trim off the excess. And then I'm going to put my banner down, or my sentiment thing here down. Obviously it's going to be too long, so I will wind up cutting off the edges. Trying to get that straight using my grids on the grid markers on the craft mat. Once I've got all this trimmed down, I take a look at it, and I mean, I think it's really cute, but I thought it needed a little something else, and I wasn't sure what to do. Oh, here you see, I'm trying to see if I've got things lined up. I think it looks okay, but I'm not sure 100% I got it completely lined right, but such is my life, it seems like, in crafting. I never seem to get things exactly straight. Okay, so I pulled out 2 of the butterflies from the stamp set, and I decided I would just go ahead and stamp them right onto the paper, and then I'd go ahead and use my Copic markers to color them in. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp them in some Simon Says Stamp black ink, which is a Copic friendly ink. Pull out some of my Copic markers in blue colors. I will have all the colors listed below. I believe this is B28 and 26 probably. I'm sorry, I wrote all of them down and I don't have them with me right this second, but I will make sure I do put it down below. Just doing some simple coloring. I'm definitely not an advanced colorer, and bringing in one darker color just to help put a little bit of accent lines in there, and to color the body, and I'm going to do the same here with the small one. Then I decided I needed a little bit more sentiment, even though Love Beyond Words is a pretty nice sentiment. And I'm bringing in the sentiment that says, always here for you. I ink that up with VersaFine Onyx Black ink and then stamp that. Now, just to make this Loved Beyond Words pop, I'm using one of my jelly glitter pens. This is from Kaiser Craft. I have a pack of them. Just colored them to make them stand out a little bit more. I didn't keep that in there because I didn't think you'd want to watch me just cover all of them, go over all of them. Now I'm going to take some of these Chamel crayon enamel stickers, and I'm using the hearts, just trying to see where I'd want to put them. Get 3 of them down. And that finishes this card. I liked how it turned out. Here's a still photo. Okay, now moving on to number 3. Again, still going with the cut aparts. I cut apart this cute little birdie, and there were also the banner flags that were below that, and so I cut those out. And then I liked this striped, which was on top of the paper, but you know, it had the hole in it, so but I figured I could still use it, so I decided I'd put it at the diagonal there, and I'd cover it up and you'd only see the 2 edges. I added the banners to the side of the cut apart with the bird, and that cut apart with the bird says, "Live for the moments you can't put into words." Thought that was cute. Popping it up with some foam tape. I'm add that onto the card base and then adhere it all using some glue to my card base, I guess I should say. I wanted a little bit something more, some other sentiment. So I'm looking through the stamp set and I like this one that says sending a bouquet of happy thoughts. And I stamped it right there with my VersaFine Onyx black ink, but I should have done it before I put on the foam tape. Because as many of you crafters know, once you put that on there, it's not always an even surface and easy to stamp on. So I put it on there and I got an uneven stamp. So I kind of filled it in the places that didn't stamp real well. I filled it in with my pen. And it looks okay. I think it passes, but it's not great. Next time I'll have to just really remember to do it before I adhere it. And now I'm just going to use some of the Chamel crayon enamel stickers, the stars, putting one of each color, and that's it. Like I say, it turned out pretty well. Now moving on to card number 4. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I like to use some metallic watercolors. So I decided this time, instead of stamping on a black cardstock, I wanted to see how it would look on a gray cardstock. So this is a gray cardstock from my stash. When I say my stash, it's probably from a previous card kit from Simon Says Stamp. My guess is this is Simon Says Stamp cardstock. I'm not sure what the color exactly is because it's not labeled and it was just sitting in my stash, so I'm not exactly sure what it is. It might be, I don't know if that's the Fog cardstock. It's a light one. But anyway, I cut it down into, you know, a panel that is big enough for an A2 size card. And here you see I'm stamping the Flower Flourish and inking that up with some Simon Says Stamp embossing ink, sticky ink, and then I am adding some Ranger metallic silver, is it silver or platinum? Liquid platinum, excuse me, liquid platinum embossing powder, and getting that all heated up. And here, before I start coloring, I'm going to stamp Thank You in the middle. And I decided to stamp that in the VersaFine Onyx black ink, and because it stays wet for a little while, you can put some embossing powder on that. And I decided, let me try this black glitter embossing powder. So I went ahead and added that. Go ahead and heat that up, get it melted, and then I'm going to start coloring. So as you can see to the side, I have a kind of a color guide that I had previously made for these watercolors. This is a Finetec M1200 metallic watercolor set. Because this paper is not watercolor paper, I am only using water on the colors themselves. I'm adding water directly to the colors and then just picking it up from there with my paintbrush. And as you can see, it definitely looks different on the gray cardstock. It's not as vibrant, I think. I still haven't decided if I really like it. You guys let me know what you think, because like I say, yeah, I'm not sure that it's my favorite, but I definitely wanted to try it and see how it worked. Here I'm using the red color. And of course that one shows up a little bit more. This is very easy watercolor, like I say. Just get the paints wet, kind of mix them up in their little pile, circle there, and pick it up with your paintbrush and bring it to the paper. Very easy to color in. Decided to use a little bit of that, I guess it's the red-brown color, for the centers and some of the other added foliage, which it almost looks like a little orange when you look at it on the cardstock. then I was trying to think, what other color do I want to use? And you can see me looking there. And I was thinking this was more of a yellow, and it really was kind of a funky looking gold there. I didn't really like the way it looked. I don't know. Like I say, it almost like a, it's not even really a gold, it's almost like a vanilla white or something, vanilla. I don't know. Um, you'll see more pictures in the close-up. You guys can let me know what you think. So decided to go ahead and cut this down using my stitched rectangle square die from Lawn Fawn, and I also cut a one size bigger stitched rectangle die from the red Schoolhouse Red cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and mat that onto the red cardstock. Again, once again, having trouble making sure everything's centered and straight. And I did use, you know, a lot of times you see me use glue adhesive, but this time I chose to use, at least to adhere the floral piece to the cardstock with some tape runner, because it was a little bit warped. Even though I barely used any water, it did have a little bit of warping. And it also could have been from the embossing, but I just wasn't sure. And I wanted to make sure it had a good stick, so I did use that tape runner there to do that. So here I'm bringing in the gems that came in the kit. Some of them, like I say, are really big. A little bit bigger than I usually like to use, but I thought they turned out really cute. Just kind of putting them on different areas. I'm going to adhere them down using my glue, my crystal katana. And that's it for that card. I think it turned out nice, even though I'm not, I would say I am not a huge fan of the metallics on the gray cardstock. And here's a close-up photo for you. Let me know what your thoughts are. Okay, so moving on to card number 5, you can see off to the side, I went ahead and stamped a bunch of the flower pictures, you know, just on some Bristol smooth cardstock, because I'm going to get those colored in a little bit later and have them ready to use for other cards. So you will not see me coloring those, but you'll see the finished product in the card. But on this one, I decided to cut down a piece of Bristol smooth cardstock to an A2 size. Then I stamped the large flower die, masked it off, cut it out, and now I've got it masked here. And I'm going to stamp some greenery around that. And all of this I'm stamping with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And I'm doing that because I'm going to be using my Zig Clean Clear Color Real Brush Markers. That is a mouthful for me. I don't know why. I always have a hard time saying that. I apologize. Got all that masked off, and then I decided to bring in that bird up to the top. You can see up there, and I also masked that off. Once I've got everything masked, I'm going to bring in some Distress Oxide in the color of Ice Spruce. I'm using one of my blender brushes. Again, this is, I'm not sure if it's one of the ones I got from Amazon or if it's, I did get a couple from Picket Fence, but I'm not sure. But it gives me a nice little easy blend there. Just clean that off right onto my paper towel. Pull up all of the mask. And when I did cut out the mask for that leaf, I didn't cut out the stems. There was just no sense. I just cut out the big leaf part. This is a fun part because, like I say, you get to see the reveal of how it looks underneath, which is neat. Like how that turned out. Now I'm going to bring in some of my Zig markers like I talked about, and I will list all the colors again down below. I don't have them right in front of me right now, but these are in kind of a turquoisey color. what I'm doing, I like to do is lay down my dark color and pull the color out with my lighter color. That's how I get my shading. I bet I could do more, but for me, this is enough. I did speed this up quite a bit because I didn't want this video. The video is very long already, and I didn't want it to be any longer than this. I like these colors together. One of my favorite combinations. Like I say, just going around and kind of putting where I think the highlights would be. I'll use my dark marker there and then pull the color out to the center using the lighter marker. And occasionally I'll wipe off my lighter marker's nib to the side just to keep it clean. As you can see, I'm unfortunately a very messy crafter, and I say that because you can see my desk is not, it's very messy. It's not clean. I've got Halloween stuff, Halloween confetti off to the side. I've got the card kit, everything that comes in the card kit off to the side. So, yeah, it's a good thing you can't see much more because it is a little bit embarrassing. I'm filling this in here with, this is a blue-gray marker, and I'm going to pull that out with a little bit of gray. Just light. Kind of pull it out, and then I'm going to use an even lighter gray marker to pull that out a little bit more. I'm going to come in and do the leaves. Oh, I'm going to do the center first. I think this is like a mustard color. I'm not exactly sure. Again, I'll have the full ones down below. And I'm using some greens and doing the very same thing, taking my darker to highlight and then pulling it out with the lighter. Now I'm going to use this Simon Says stamp frame, and this cuts out this scalloped edge, and it also cuts out the inner portion. So what I like to do with this is, and you'll see how I get it set up. First I'm going to stamp. I learned my lesson from before. I'm going to stamp before I get everything propped up. And I'm using the sentiment that says prayers, and I believe the other one says hang in there, friend. Hang in there, friend. Of course, using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink for that stamping. I must have a lot of extra ink on there. All right, hang in there, friend. Get all that stamped. Now I'm bringing in some fun foam. I am going to back this inner piece with some fun foam. Just cutting it down. I'm going to apply some double-sided tape to both sides. I feel this is kind of the best adhesive to use when adhering fun foam. So what I'm going to do is, you can see that outer scalloped frame. I'm going to put that down directly onto the card base, and then I will pop this up, the centerpiece, with the main image up using the fun foam, and that'll fit right in there. It'll just give it a little bit of added dimension. Initially, of course, I thought I'd use a regular white cardstock, and I was like, that's just too plain. So I decided to go ahead and pull out some of the cardstock from the kit, and this is, I believe, the Island Blue. No, Audrey Blue, sorry, Audrey Blue. Cut that down, make it into an A2 size card base, use my glue, get that scallop piece attached. Do you guys go through as much different kind of adhesive as I do. As you can see, I use the Simon Says stamp. I use the Gina K sometimes. There I'm using a Lawn Fawn. I've also used this Tombow tape runner here. Pretty much whatever is at my fingertips that's easiest is what I like to use. I'm just curious if you guys that do that too, or do you just use one thing when you're crafting? I don't know. Trying to get this straight. Once I got that in place, then I'll go ahead and take off the backing of my double-sided adhesive here. Get that stuck down. Trying to get that kind of as even as possible so there's not big gaps. And I didn't really like it, so I do pull it up and readjust, which you can do if you do it fairly quick without pushing too hard on the tape to get it down. There we go, much better. And I do want to bring in some highlights, so I am bringing in my white gel pen here. Initially my jelly roll did not work well, so I tried another one. That didn't really work well either. Even though I'm still going here, it didn't work very well. You can't really see it. I guess I was okay with with it being light. There we go. I finally bring in my one that has a little bit more pigment in it. Now you can see it a little bit better. I am going to darken up the bird's eye. And that's pretty much that. I did not want to add much more. It's just a nice sympathy card or a thoughtful card, so I didn't want it to be too blingy. Alright, so here I decided I wanted to make a shaker, and as you can see I took my, it's a stitched frame die from MFT, and it cuts out the frame and it also cuts out the inner portion of it. And what I wanted was this inner portion with the clouds on this paper. So did that, and I stamped the sentiment that says, "Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams you dare to dream really do come true." And then I cut out this, using the same die, I cut out again the frame, and you get an inner piece, but this time I used that metallic cardstock from Tim Holtz, and this is the green, and I put some double-sided tape onto that, and I'm just kind of lining it up onto my card base here, trying to get it fitted, and then I'll go ahead and adhere the inner piece down. I'll take off the double-sided adhesive, and I've got, if you can see up to the left there, I've already cut out a piece of acetate from my stock. I just have some acetate I have some stash acetate. Just cutting that down. Now I'm going to go ahead and put some foam tape. I double this up to make it 2 layers. I'll cut it in half, line the frame with that. And as you can see, up to the right hand corner there are some more colored flowers. And if you remember me telling you earlier, I had colored some flowers off camera to use to make the cards, and I had cut them out and got them all prepared so you wouldn't have to go through the whole process of watching me do that. And those are some of those. And again, the leaves part, I didn't cut out the stems, I only cut out the leaves. So I knew I could stamp if I needed to, or hide where the stems would be. Just bringing in some stash, some sequins from my stash. I'm using some different multicolor ones, and these are also the very small iridescent stars. I put some of those in there also. it's all adhered down. Give it a good shake. Sorry, I don't know why this is kind of looking like that. Now I'm going to bring in that flower that I had previously colored. Add a little highlights with my white gel pen. And decide where I kind of want to place everything. I also did color a butterfly and cut that out. I'm going to adhere that directly to the outside of the card base using some glue. I'll put the flower down first, and then I'll put some of the leaves, tuck them up under that. And as you can tell, I'm using the same. I used the same color to color in this flower as I did with the previous card, kind of that turquoisey color. Bring in a couple of my gems to put. Initially, I think I was going to put them on the butterfly, but then I decided just to put it on the outside of the acetate. Probably could have done without this. I mean, didn't really need it with all the bling inside. And that's it for this card. I do like how this turned out. Thought it turned out really cute, especially the metallic green cardstock was really nice. And here's a still photo. Now, of course, you know I don't like to waste anything, so I had a previous, from the previous cutout that I just made, I have the frame from the pattern paper that I still had, and then I had the inner portion from the metallic cardstock. So I decided to take that metallic cardstock and I embossed it using that 3D embossing folder. It's pretty impressive how well it embossed. It is very nice, but I will tell you this, it almost seemed like it shrinked the cardstock, if that makes sense. And you'll kind of see what I mean a little bit shortly here, because when I go to fit it into the frame that I cut it out from, it's a little bit short. And I felt like, did this shrink up? Did it get a little bit smaller? I don't know what happened, but I was able to make it work, but I kind of not sure what happened. But it embossed great, and I think it looks fabulous, honestly. It get a lot of depth and dimension to it. And I'm just going to adhere that directly down, and as you can see right there, see, you can see that gap right in between the top right there. It's just a gap, and I just felt like it was too small, almost like it had shrunk. I don't know if it did or not, or if that's even possible. But like I say, I made it work, and it didn't look too bad, but it did bother me a little bit. So here's another one of the flowers that I had colored, cut out, put some highlights on there. I'm going to pop that up using some foam dimensional squares. And of course, the whole time I was talking, I didn't tell you that I did stamp the sentiment thinking of you, and I cut that out using, I think it was a banner die that I had from my stash. I'm not even sure who it's from, but it's a banner die. I decided to go ahead and put some of these leaves, tuck them up in there, and I'm using double-sided adhesive just because I wanted it to stick really well onto the metallic cardstock. Taking the sentiment, trying to decide where to put it. Decide to put it down into the right-hand corner. And I didn't add any further bling because I thought it was shiny enough. I like the way that one turned out. So this card, by this time when I'm getting to number 8, I'm kind of thinking, what do I want to do? Well, I had taken an idea from one of the sayings in the cut apart. So, and of course I totally forgot what it said. I'll show it in a minute. Anyway, it made me think, well, let's do these flowers in an unusual, not the normal way. So I decided to stamp on there, stamp the flowers on here, and cut them all out. Kind of on this rainbow paper, which I thought was really nice also. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp them all using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. and I will cut them out. Just fussy cut them. I won't make you sit through that. I am not a very good cutter, and I'm not a very fast cutter, unfortunately. All I can say is thank God. Oh, there it is. Escape the ordinary. That's why I chose to do that, because I thought that sentiment that said escape the ordinary, let's not do something ordinary. So that's why I chose to stamp those flowers on there. So I did that. I cut down a piece of this light checkered paper, matted it on some more of the metallic cardstock. I believe this is a blue cardstock. I'm going to adhere to that to the card base. I think it turned out a little bit uneven. I didn't notice it until the final pictures, but cut off the excess. And then I'm going to look at how I want to place my arrangement. Now, I did want to use that sentiment that said escape the ordinary, but what you'll see is that it just wound up being way too big. That was initially on like a 3x3 cutout. I had cut it down, and I just couldn't get it to fit well on there. But before I even do that, I forgot to tell you, just to give this these cutouts, flowers, a little bit more dimension, I'm bringing in some of my W markers, my warm gray markers, and I'm just kind of adding some shading to some of it just to help it stand out a little bit more. And I'll have exactly the colors that I use, again, listed below. Just kind of gives it a little bit more dimension and not so flat. I sped this up, but it doesn't seem very fast. I'm sorry about that. Now this one here, I did not use in the final card layout. I just couldn't get it to lay kind of how I wanted, so decided to scrap that one. I saved it for another project. So here, when I finally decided about my layout, I am going to bring in the stamp. I'm going to stamp in the leaf, and that's so that I can get the stems, even though I cover it up. But I cover up the stamp portion with, it's like a paper piecing, and I use the cutout floral areas just to fill that in. Decided I needed to bring in a stem there for one of the flowers. I'm just going to color that directly onto the cardstock also. I just use the gray markers for that also. All adhered down. Again, I'm still trying to see if I can fit that in, and I just decide no, it's not working. And then here's where I bring in the sentiment I kind of wanted to use, and none of it is working. So eventually go to the stamp set, and I decided to use the sentiment that says look for the rainbows. Stamp that using the VersaFine Onyx black ink. I'm going to add some additional embellishment with these crayons. Oh, I decided, you know what, I can't not have that, so I put it on the inside. I put Escape the Ordinary, and I decided to adhere it to the inside along with that extra flower. I thought that turned out really nice, yeah. Perfect. Add some of these crayon enamel dots. Decided I didn't really want that there. I pulled it up, kind of tore the paper just a little bit. You can see in the last shot there. Okay, now moving on to number 9. This is some more of the pre-colored flowers. Doing the same kind of thing that I did on the past card. I cut this pattern paper out from the pattern paper that came in the set. This just has a background of multiple words. I think like hello in different languages. Kind of looking where I want to put things. Decide how I want to get things adhered down. And I decided that I didn't have any more pre-colored cut-apart greens leaves, so I decided I'd just go ahead and color straight onto the cardstock. Oh, and down below, I'm sorry you didn't see it because I didn't get it on camera, but I did also stamp that birdie down below. I'm going to cover that with the pre-colored one, but here I'm just using my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers to color all this in, and this is the same color combo that I had used previously. Again, just highlighting with the dark, pulling out with the light, not being too thick-handed with the colors. The bird that I had cut out up there, you see that I previously colored. Obviously, I didn't cut out the feet or the little hair on top, so that's part of the reason why paper piecing. And if I stamp it, you know, underneath, you get the hair and the feet. All right, so just looking for placement here, trying to decide how I want to put it. I didn't want to have to cut off too much of it, so I wanted to make sure I get it kind of in the right way. I really like the way these turned out as far as the colors. And again, I'll have all the colors listed below. I'm looking to add a sentiment. Pull out the sentiment that says, sending a bouquet of happy thoughts. Go ahead and stamp that. I do decide to cut that out using that same banner die that I had used previously. Again, I'm not sure who made that. I'm sorry. It might be MFT though. And I'm looking at it there and I'm deciding that I wanted to back it with something. And I believe off to the side I still have a little bit of this metallic green cardstock. So I go ahead and run that through with the banner die. And obviously this is going to be, I mean, it's the same size, so it was not going to fit on that. So I decided to cut it in half and then just piece it together on each end, so that I have a little bit of that metallic cardstock sticking out. And I'm going to go ahead and put some foam adhesive on that. Get that popped up. Put a little glue on the back. Oh, no. Gosh, I didn't use glue. I broke my routine. I'm using double-sided adhesive here. Sorry about that, I was wrong. Just cut off the excess there. I think I had just a touch. Bring in my white pen just to help add a few accents. And I added a couple more gems. Unfortunately, I didn't get that on camera. So, all right. So last card, using some more cut apart. I decided to cut down a piece of paper, pattern paper, just in a rectangle frame. Cut another piece down, smaller than that, of this butterfly. And there was this cut apart, like 4x3 thing of this camera, and I cut that out, and then there was another cut apart that had this sentiment, and it was all on this large cut apart that said, "A picture is worth 1,000 words." And to get that to fit, I decided to cut it apart and then kind of adhered that onto the card base, so that way I could put it how I wanted it to look. I had an extra butterfly that I had previously colored, and I put it on there just to give it a little pop of color, because this is a lot of black and gray there. Use a little bit of my shimmer pen on the butterfly and also on the camera. And I'll bring in some more of these crayon enamel dots. This one turned out really simple, but I thought it was cute. Here's the final shot. And so here are my final 10 cards. I enjoyed working with this kit. It was fun. Anytime there's any kind of floral design, I definitely enjoy working with it. And I enjoyed challenging myself to go out of the box and do a little bit more than just color them. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for joining me. I know this was a long video, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos. If you do like these videos, please hit the like button. If you'd like to see more, feel free to hit the subscribe button, and I'll be looking forward to bringing you more videos. Thank you so much. Have a good day.